Okay, thank you. So, Warami mittigar, and welcome to learning Dharug Dhalang, which is the language of Sydney. So, Naya Gyara Anissa Jones, Buru Burongol Darug Jin. So, what I've said to you in language is welcome, friends. My name is Anissa Jones, and I am a Buru Burongol Darug woman. So, we're going to be learning a bit of Dharug Dhalang or Darug Tongue language. Which is the official language of the Sydney Basin. So for those of you who've never been to Sydney, you're going to learn some official language. For those of you that have actually come to Sydney, we're like, oh, I didn't know that. So hopefully today you'll be able to learn a few words, and I'll be able to show you how I've created some resources using Google Slides as audiobooks for my own teaching of Darug language to community. So my contact details are there if you want to get in touch with me. Okay, so this is the Sydney Basin. For those of you who are not familiar with Australia, Sydney's roughly right there. And my community or my clan are from here. So all of Sydney goes about that big. And then down here is a different nation, the Dharawal Nation. But we have the bulk of the Sydney Basin as our traditional lands. Okay, so before I go any further, I'd like to pay my respects to elders past and present, and to any First Nations person who is zooming in from wherever you are in the world. And hopefully you'll be able to pick up a little bit of Darug and be able to use it, and then see how I've used the Google Slides to support second language acquisition. Okay, so the first thing I said was Naya Gyara Anissa. So Naya, which is I in Darug, Gyara, name, roughly translates to name. So Naya Gyara Anissa. Na, we use the term na. Naya Gyara. So it sounds a bit interesting, but it shouldn't be too hard to do. And, normally I'm getting people talking back to me, so it's okay. So Naya Gyara, and then you say your name. And that's why I've sort of used this. I'd love to change this to say, Warami Naya Gyara, and then put Anissa underneath. One day I may change that, but that's just basically how you say my name. So Warami is our hello. How are you? Nice to see you. Then we've got, now you will hear Warami from a lot of people around, particularly the western side of Sydney. It's really coming out with our language acquisition. But the next one is Bujuri Na Junya. Now, I'm going to say it slowly. I normally say it a lot faster, but Bujuri is our word for good. Yep. Naju. So na junya or naju means see. Na means see. And then junya means to see you. So it's that directional. And we have suffixes at the end here for you. So we've got bujuri na junya. Good to see you. Now, we also have a word for, we have two words for goodbye. So one is yanu, which a lot of people do know, but that's more like I'll see you later. And then we have yiya, which is goodbye. So if I was to say to you, Warami bujuri na junya, you'd be like, oh, they said hello, cool. I don't know what the other one is, but I'm going to ask. So bujuri, good, na junya, to see you. And then we've got yanu, goodbye. So those are some very simple greetings that we have. Now, if I was to say to you, Niani bujuri, so Niani is our word for you, as in Naya is I, Niani is you. So if I said Niani bujuri, meaning you good, you okay, which is great for Are You Okay Day that we celebrate. But yeah, if I asked you that, you could go, oh, yes or no, Ewan, which is yes, or Bial, which is no. Okay, so there are different ways we can put them together. So I could say, I'm Marty Bujuri, I'm feeling great, I'm excellent. Or I could say, Māori Dagara, cold. So I know in the northern hemisphere it's starting to get a bit cooler, but trust me, in Australia it still hasn't warmed up yet. So you could say Māori Dagara, I'm very cold, or Māori Budjeri, I'm very good. Okay. So I've created a whole pile of resources to teach my language to adults at the moment, but these can be easily adapted for children. So I've got here Google Slides as an audio book. The book that I've created is Wa Girui. So Wa means where. Now in Darug we don't have is or the, but then we've got Girui, which is cockatoo. So where cockatoo is basically what it translates to, but then we have to put the English spin on it, and it's where is the cockatoo. So I've put this up here. Let's see if it's going to let me show you. Probably not, knowing my luck. Okay. Always the way when you're live, isn't it? I'm going to share my other screen with you so you can have a look at the slideshow for Wagiri. Okay, so I will window, go here. Okay, we want that one. All right, folks. It's also been very yucky weather down here in Cootamundra, so where I live, in regional New South Wales. And so 1,000 apologies if everything is very slow. Okay, so how I've created the slides for Wagirui is that I've just used basic template in Google Slides. I've just tweaked the back of it. I looked for a watercolor background and just added the usual, custom fonts and images that I thought would be appealing for the students who are, most of them are adults, to be able to read, because that's really important too if we're learning a second language. Now, I actually created it with audio files embedded in the slides so that if community used these and I wasn't around, or they wanted to use them in their schools because I have teachers learning it, then I've put that in there and they can hear the pronunciation. So I'm going to hear my own voice, which is never a good thing when you're presenting, but I'll just play for you what it sounds like. Wa, Girui. Wa, Girui. Okay, so our pronunciation at the start of the words is where we put the emphasis. So wa, Girui. So that's where we put that. Now, this is just a stock standard background photo that I got when I searched on Google, but we had to have, sentence structure here. So I've already said to you, Naju, meaning see, and then Girui is cockatoo, and then Yara is our word for tree, and Wa is where it's sitting, so the location of the animal. So Naju, Girui, Yarawa. I see cockatoo in the tree. Now, the Wa can mean multiple things. It can mean next to, near, under, in, above, you name it. So this is what it sounds like again. Naju, Girui, Yarawa. Naju, Girui, Yarawa. Okay, so if I was presenting a different word, so our word for snake, now in Australia, snakes, we have a lot of the deadliest snakes in the world. One of them is the brown snake, particularly where I live, and that's not a very nice snake. But we have a generic word for snake, which is jirabidi. So I'll say that again, jirabidi, but I say it faster, obviously, jirabidi. And the question is, what jirabidi? Where is the snake? So I've put the audio file in there, and then it's asking Naju, jirabidi, Gibawa. So I see the snake. What's this word? It means rock. Now, because I've put the English down the bottom, you could easily decode that sentence and sort of understand, if you have an understanding of, this is the word for I see, this is the word for snake. Okay, don't know what this one is, but I know this one means, a location. So Gibba must mean rock. So that's how I go through it in the book with my students. It goes all the way through down to, these are cute little ones here. So our word for sister is Juraman. So if I said Naju Juraman, I see sister. Guyangwa. Guyangwa, next to the fire or near the fire. So that's just something very, very simple that you could use. Now, I've shared this with adults, children. I've created a second one about I Spy, if you know that little game. So these are great little resources to embed not only the visual but the audio, because a lot of our languages, particularly Aboriginal languages, are oral based. So this does support the traditional ways of learning, I suppose, if you want to call it that. So I've also put at the back a little glossary of words, and that's just mainly for the teachers in all of us, just to check. I actually have people creating their own sentences from this, so they may pick a different word, which could be bulga, which is mountain. So wa bulga, where is the mountain? And you could say it's next to the tree. So, there's all these different words, but it's trying to build up on the sentence structures, because our languages for many, many years were not allowed to be spoken for penalty of being jailed. And so bringing all of these languages back in a way that includes the digital literacy, because we are living in times where students, and particularly in schools, have access to so many different things, and even social media. So this is a great way of supporting language learning around First Nations languages, and I love it. So I keep making lots and lots and lots of resources for it. And if I had time, I don't know if I have time to show you the other one, Narang Mai. So we have Najun Narang Mai, which is I see with my little eye. So I spy with my little eye, something beginning with, but we don't have that something beginning with at the end. We have words for animals. We have people. It's starting at a very slow level, but if you go through the slides with an audio book, you do that in your own time, and it really does support that language learning. And it allows the students to actually, or the participants, whatever you want to call them, they're adults, they're students, they're children, whatever. It gives them that opportunity to listen to the pronunciations as well as practicing in an environment that's safe for them. And the beauty of using it with slides is that we know that it's transportable. So it can be on your mobile phone, it can be on your tablet, it can be on your laptop. I could even put it up as a YouTube video and they could go through it that way. So it's very versatile being used in this space. And I think it's a great option because it's also shareable online. So I don't have to keep all of the files on a computer, and then if it crashes, that's it. But because it's in my Google Drive, I can upload the files to whichever presentation I want to do. I can create an audio bank. We're looking at creating a Darug app again. So some of those may end up going into the app as part of the database there. It really opens up a lot of opportunities to improve those second language acquisition skills. So we say second language because, for a majority of Aboriginal Australians, English is our first language, particularly on the east coast of Australia. But learning our own language, again, is always a great thing. And seeing what can happen in the classroom and seeing each student's improvements every week is a great, it makes you feel like all nice and gooey and warm. But the point of it is that it's a bit of technology mixed in with a language that's been spoken for over 60,000 years. It's providing supports for students who are learning remotely. So I do have students who are learning across the country, whether they are in New South Wales, they might be in Queensland, they might be in South Australia, but we can all do it in an easier way. And I'm using other things as well, reinforcing with the writing, using Padlet. We record, we do breakouts, we practice everything. And I think that's the benefit is once the students are upskilled in the digital literacy side of things, being able to then use the tools to improve their own L2 languages is just amazing. So I think look at that, I'm about finished. I'd like to say Warami Yanu I should say, because you don't like that, or Bayaliganu, I'll see you later. Mari Bujri, it was very good. Najunya, to see you. And Mari Didrigora, many thanks for coming to this session. Yanu.
Thank you very much.
Woohoo, done.